right. Good morning, all. This is Brenda Geiger with Eat, Drink, Dive, and I'm privileged to have Dr. Brad Dyer here from Premier Integrative Health. I will disclose I was one of his patients, and he transformed my life through diet. So today we're going to ask Dr. Dyer, since we're approaching the holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas, some ideas on nutrition, hangover prevention, and whatnot. But let's start with Dr. Dyer, tell us about your practice and what you're doing here in Kansas City.
Yeah, first, Brenda, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate that. And so our practice is called Premier Integrative Health. We're in North Kansas City, and we're a functional and integrative medicine practice that really focuses on getting to the root cause, of our patients' issues. We want to help empower them to make the diet and the lifestyle and the mindset, and supplementation choices to actually, live an empowered and healthful life. And so we do that via taking deep dive into their physiology, working with our health coach and our functional nutritionist. And so it's really kind of an all-encompassing approach. And some of the things that we're really focusing on here recently is metabolic health. And that's things like diabetes, obesity, hypertension, PCOS. I mean, all of these things that a lot of Americans are struggling from, and not just struggling from, but dying from. And so that's kind of one of our big focuses right now, along with gut health and autoimmunity and mental health. And so that's kind of what we're all about. We're helping just empower people to be, awesome, smart, healthy humans.
Yeah, well, I can endorse your gut health advice because you've totally changed how I feel every day. And it's not a short-term answer, but it's a lifestyle change. And I'm so glad I made it thanks to you and your dietitian there. So let's talk hangovers. We all, as adults, have probably had them once or twice, or maybe more than that. And sometimes we overindulge. What would be your guidance to your patients if they're waking up feeling like a Mack truck hit them?
Yeah. And so first, I have to do my due diligence and say, a pound of prevention is worth an ounce of cure. And so there's always that aspect of things, but, we've all been there. I've been there. And there are a handful of things that are kind of just foundational things that I recommend, people do. Probably the number one is stay hydrated. And that, again, when we talk about prevention is better than cure, that comes along with that too, is people will guzzle a bunch right before they go to bed, which can be helpful. It's better than not doing that. But if you can drink water throughout the evening, like maybe an every other beverage or every third beverage or something like that, that can make a big difference. So probably the number one thing people can do is hydration. That just helps your body and your liver kind of do its job a little bit more, kind of flush some of those things out, because it's not really the alcohol itself that causes the hangover. It's the byproducts of your body breaking down that alcohol or trying to break down that alcohol. And so that brings up another thing, something pretty simple and cheap. There's a supplement called N-acetylcysteine, or NAC. It is a key enzyme in this whole glutathione production pathway, which helps our body break down toxins, and specifically alcohol. And so when I do indulge on occasion, which I do, I will do a little NAC before I go out. I'll do a little NAC before I go to bed, and then I'll probably even do some in the morning. And so that's one thing that people can do. You can get that through diet to a certain degree. The brassica family, things like Brussels sprouts and cabbage and cauliflower, garlic, leeks, onions, all of those things, those are actually pretty detoxifying foods. And, so those are good things to indulge in just on a regular basis.
But not Doritos or hamburgers.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, that kind of gives you the opposite effect. And it's the world that we live in. A lot of times those things go hand in hand. When we drink alcohol, we tend to make poor choices, and you might end up at, Town Topic in the middle of the night, having some, cheese-laden hash browns and a bacon cheeseburger. Not that I've ever done that. Maybe I have. And so that does tend to move the dial in the other direction. But you know, if you focus on good nutrition the majority of the time, you know, if you do really eat healthy as a general rule, your body is going to be able to handle those insults a lot better than someone who that's kind of their standard diet, the standard American diet. And so if you make a lot of healthy choices most of the time in your life, then you have that metabolic resilience to where you can handle a night out on the town and maybe even that bacon cheeseburger a lot better than if you hadn't done those things. So that's one thing. People a lot of time will go to ibuprofen. I am not, I mean, ibuprofen is effective. It'll get the job done. I'm not a big fan of NSAIDs just from the effect that they have on the intestinal lining, your microbiome, kidneys, things like that. And so I'm a big fan of curcumin. And so not everyone may have heard of curcumin, but most people have heard of tumeric. And so curcumin are those active compounds in turmeric that actually gives turmeric its health benefits. And so getting a high quality, you know, liposomal preferably type of curcumin, that can really help with, you know, the headaches and the body aches and the things like that. And I like to kind of compare and contrast the two. You know, if you load up on NSAIDs, well, then yes, you will get some pain relief, you know, but the trade-off is an upset stomach, hard on your kidneys, hard on your microbiome, and so many negative things. Where if you load up on curcumin, you'll also get that pain relief, but the side effects are better brain health and better gut health and better liver health and longevity and anti-cancer and antioxidant. And so, you know, they're very kind of contrasted things. So those are some key things that I recommend a lot of time to people.
Wonderful. And obviously there's a lot of myths out there about how to feel better quicker, but can you talk about tomato juice and Sprite, if they are myths or realities for curing hangovers?
Yeah, you know, it's much more myth than reality. So with tomato juice, the thing about tomato juice is, I mean, it's 95% water, so you're hydrating. So that's one thing that helps. And then the other thing too is tomato juice is very high in vitamins A, C, and E. Those are all antioxidants. And so you're actually getting those antioxidants and stuff in there that can help. And some say there could be some acid-base balance, and that may be true. But you know, that's definitely not you know, one of my top go-tos, especially if you're picking up, you know, some tomato juice in a can that might also have high fructose corn syrup and, you know, sugar and other kind of junky things. Then you're really not getting the benefit. You know, the whole Sprite thing is so interesting. You know, there was some study out of China where their version of Sprite, you know, fared well in these studies that they were doing for hangovers, which is essentially kind of what they were looking at. You know, but, and I don't know if the Chinese version of Sprite has the high fructose corn syrup and, you know, as much sugar and stuff that ours does. I'm assuming it probably does. But those things affect you so much more negatively than that small benefit that they showed in the study. And what's interesting, that same study, they looked at club soda, and it actually did better than Sprite, but no one ever talks about that. And so if you really want to, you know, go that route, I would recommend getting a decent club soda. Again, one that does not have high fructose corn syrup and sugar, and putting some fresh lemon, fresh lime in there. I mean, that right there, you know, could probably be significantly more beneficial than Sprite itself. And so I really think there's a lot more myth than reality to some of those
Sure.
things.
Everyone thinks they're a doctor. So
Right?
if I
Dr.
could circle
Google.
back to your recommendation of the NAC, is there a milligram or does it go by your body weight? And is there a supplement brand that you highly prefer over others at different stores?
Yeah, and so with the milligrams of NAC, you know, I would say you would want to be probably in that 300 to 900 milligram range. You know, well, probably closer to the 900 really. And sometimes I believe the one I take from Designs for Health. I'm a huge fan of Designs for Health. Now you won't find those in stores. It's a kind of a functional medicine provider type brand. although they do have them on Amazon and things like that. But Designs for Health makes a good high quality one. And I believe it's 900 per capsule. And I will take one before I go out, one when I get home, and one in the morning. And so that would put me in around 1,800 milligrams. You can't really overdo it with N-acetylcysteine. You know, I mean, of course you could, but you would have to like just down, you know, pill after pill after pill. And so I would say you want to get at least probably, you know, 600 to 900 and maybe a little bit higher. You know, I'm trying to think off the top of my head of some good over-the-counter brands. Here's the thing with supplements. There are some things like curcumin, for example. It's super important to make sure that you have a high quality curcumin because, you know, you want the right kind of compounds, you want them in the right ratios, you want it delivered in the right way. That's super important. Something like an N-acetylcysteine or, you know, vitamin D and things like that, those are pretty basic compounds where, you know, any of them you're going to get a benefit from. You know, there's not a lot of specific delivery that needs to be put in place. You know, really what you want to look out for things on that are like additives. You know, for example, vitamin C. I mean, a lot of the over-the-counter, you know, Nature's Own or whatever, they might have like a maltodextrin or some kind of, you know, junky fillers that you don't really want. So it's more often than, you know, what's in there that you don't want than, you know, the form of vitamin C that they use.
And then I'm just going to wrap up with one question about quality alcohol. Another thing I've heard is if you stick with name brands or high quality alcohol versus the rot gut well drinks, that you might fare better. Is that what is your opinion?
So I have not seen data on that. So I can't say based off, you know, scientific rigor, but I can say based off my own personal experience, based off my patient's experience, based off, you know, other functional medicine doctors in the space, you know, other wellness providers in the space, that is true. And you can say too, like when you look at a very highly distilled vodka, for example, you know, a Kettle One versus a McCormick, you know, I mean, I could tell you with personal experience that there absolutely is a difference. I would say, you know, vodka and tequila are probably the ones where I've noticed the biggest difference personally, and the ones that you hear about the most. But yes, I would say based off personal experience, based off anecdotal experience, and just logic, that these higher quality alcohols will have a much less likely chance of giving you a nasty hangover than kind of the well drinks and stuff like that.
And I will comment that being an avid writer about dive bars and bars, you can tell you're in a high quality place because they always give you lots of water. But the lower quality, cheaper places usually don't give you any water unless you beg for it. So
no, you know, you're right. I never really thought about that, but that's 100% true, really, if you think about it.
yeah. So Dr. Dyer has a wonderful newsletter that he puts out. Do you want to share how someone would get on your free newsletter to get increase the quality of their life in 2021?
Yeah, of course. And so just go to our website, Premier Integrative Health, KC.com, or if you're not a fan of typing, PIHKC.com. Much easier way to get there. If you scroll all the way to the bottom of our homepage, you will see where you can subscribe to our newsletter. And, you know, we try to put some hard-hitting, valuable, impactful information in that. We do a lot of community events, whether it's like we just did a fermentation class, and we'll do community movie nights or free yoga in the park, you know, in the summers and things like that. We're getting ready to start a free yoga series in our practice. Our favorite blog posts and recipes and things like that. So that's a good way to subscribe to that. We probably put the most content out on our social media. And so we're Premier Integrative Health on Facebook is our main page. But where all the magic happens is our Premier Integrative Health Wellness community. So that's a Facebook group, and you can do so much more with Facebook groups as far as the way that you share things. And we've created units. And so any high impact information that we've posted or that someone in the community's posted, we're saving it in units. So someone who's going to our community group for the first time can go look at units and be like, oh my gosh, here's all this information on, the gut, or, the motivational videos or recipes, or personal development, or whatever it might be. And so we do a lot of stuff there in that Facebook group. And so that's probably the best way people can kind of learn about us. And if anyone is thinking about being a patient, we always do a free 20-minute consultation for anyone who wants to work with either me and my one-on-one program, our Empowerment Over Diabetes or Metabolic Group Health program, which is a group program, or our new naturopathic doctor, Dr. Hubbard. She is awesome. And so we're super excited to have her on board as well.
And stick around before I let you go, Dr. Dyer, but I will put the links to all of Premier Integrative Health's website and Facebook groups in the comments on my YouTube page, so you can see where to get that. And in the meantime, as we enter the holiday seasons, keep the spirit up, keep exercising, focus on quality, focus on happiness, your health, and moderation when it comes to drinking. So thank you.
Awesome.
I'm going to shut the recording off.